The first model or situation is one that we called bare bones survival. Now, I know this might sound too familiar to some folks. So this situation was typically sparked by the business taking sweeping executive action to cut various parts of the university recruiting programs or large swaths of the university recruiting programs. Almost every incident that we found where members found themselves in a bare bones survival situation, the business ran those interventions without much consultation from the university recruiting team. So then what's left of the UR team, the head of UR needs to figure out how to fill some number of requisitions in more of a survival mode. So we thought of this category as doing something with nothing. A second category, second model, second situation is what we ended up thinking of as a step-down reset. So this situation was where member organizations wanted to maintain a competitive program, but they very consciously put forward the mandate that we want this done at a smaller, less ambitious scale. So in this situation, heads of UR were left with typically lower demand or demand concentrated on a few different categories of talent, and then we're left with the task of figuring out how do we do less with less. A third category, this was the most common category, is one that we called competitive contraction. And the basic idea here was for some members, the business came to them and said, we want to be remain as competitive as we possibly can, but we also need you to cut some costs. You have to spend something less. So a lot of members were left with the task of figuring out how do we do basically the same thing with less. There's a final category that we called lean acceleration. So this is the situation that everyone would, of course, love to be in. But most of the time, this was just sparked by the head of UR themselves, noting, you know what, I bet I can find ways that cutting costs or cutting aspects of the program actually allow me to go faster. And we identified something like 8 or so tactics in our research that we believe to fall in this lean acceleration category. Some of them are situation dependent. They're not all going to be implementable by all members. However, there were 8 ideas that we found for how members ended up improving their quality of hire, improving their recruiter experience, et cetera, while still spending less.